This week, Seth and I watch Clone Wars, and no, not the cool one, but the 2D microseries one.
Hold up, excuse me?
I mean, let's be real, it's no 2008 Clone Wars, but I mean, it's...
Hey, dude, eyes right here.
What?
Genndy's Clone Wars is awesome.
How can you like the Obi-Wan show and not like this?
Seth, I'm just pulling your leg, man. I like the Tartakovsky Clone Wars show.
Nearly lost my cool there. Sorry about that. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Dune Sea. My name's Seth.
And I'm Konnor.
My favorite comment is from Jeremy Bloor, 7043 on YouTube. Gotta love Seth's WWE entrance for R2D2. Fun fact, I love wrestling. I think it is an amazing art form, and I think it's the sport of kings. We'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that.
My favorite comment comes from at Mr. Woo-XR8EP. Interesting name there. Old wizards hidden in deserts distributing swords is no basis for a system of government.
It's true.
It's a fun
Yes.
little Monty Python reference. I didn't get it at first. I asked him, I was like, I know this from something.
Yeah.
What is this? And he's like, yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's Monty Python. I'm like, that's right.
There it is.
There it is.
Yes.
So anyway, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. It looks a little different around here. It might look terrible. I don't know yet. We're experimenting. We're maybe going to be switching things up pretty soon, so stick with us. Hopefully this looks good. I think that, like I said, we're experimenting, so if it looks a little different, that's why.
Bear with us.
That's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. You know, I don't know what you were talking about on the tier list. I thought this was awesome. I mean, Seth was over here talking about how garbage this show was, and I was like, dude, I mean, you set a pretty low bar. I was like, but so maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much, is because you were like, man, this is like, I mean, if you guys remember, I had to bump this thing up. I mean, to put it where we did. But you know, hey, I thought it was pretty good though.
He's gonna do me dirty like that.
Yeah. I don't know why you didn't like it.
I put it in S tier, you jerk. And you know that. This is S tier Star Wars, in my opinion. When we lowered it to A tier.
We did. We lowered it
to
because
satisfy
of me.
you.
That's true. That's true. You know what? I'll say.
What?
I remember this when I was a kid, volume 1, this part.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched volume 2.
Well, next week's going to be fun. Though.
I know.
Yeah.
And I've not watched it yet for this show.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. A little taste for what's to come in this conversation. There's a chance I might agree with you. There's a chance.
Buddy. It feels good when we're on the same tier. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I only brought it down because I mean, not because I didn't like it. It's because I was like, does it really deserve to sit up there with the greats?
Yeah.
That was my thought process. And
I know we're only halfway there.
Yeah. But what's
Mm-hmm.
been fun about revisiting some of this stuff, which I know we haven't done a lot so far yet. I mean, the show is still young.
Yes.
But I've been trying to watch everything and approach everything like, okay, imagine I'm seeing this for the first time. Not just that I'm seeing this for the first time, but in the context of a fan during that time.
Yeah. You know what? That really segues into some stuff I wanted to talk about.
Hit me.
Yeah. Is that just the fact that, like, how this got made is just as wild as the show itself. Okay. So Hasbro wanted to hype up toy sales between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, right?
Hasbro, the toy company.
Toy company.
Yeah.
Toy company. And granted, this is from what I found from all the research. So yes, but like research says, all right, yeah. So Lucasfilm contacts Cartoon Network and they want to make like a Clone Wars like micro series, okay? And so that would be basically 1 minute shorts before and it would be before and after like primetime cartoons on Friday nights, okay? The idea is, we're going to hype kids up to buy toys now and then hype them up also to buy a movie ticket in 3 years. Okay. So Cartoon Network then puts Genndy Tartakovsky on it, who had just wrapped up Samurai Jack. And I just it's crazy to think about because again, they asked for 1 minute episodes. All right.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. And he then just goes, can you give me 3 minutes? 180 seconds. And they go, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you get, we've both dabbled in making films and stuff like that. I would say I'm nowhere near a professional or anything like that. But could you do a lot in 3 minutes? Could you do a lot in 180 seconds?
It is tough.
You'd have to really be pushing it, right?
It is tough.
Well, guy just to start, the guy just comes out of the gate swinging.
Yeah.
Because I think most of these are awesome in like these 3 minute segments that he's created.
Yeah.
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 And
No,
yeah.
This idea that it was Hasbro's idea.
Yeah.
Right. That we need more sales. Yeah. We need content to sell figures and make money. Make the content for that. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to hear that and be like, oh, that is the thing you hear today. Like with Marok, for example, that character was just invented to sell action figures. This whole show was invented to sell action figures, but it just goes to show you that two things can be true at once. Studios can only care about money, but artists can only care about art. And when they come together in this symbiotic relationship, some really cool things can happen. And this is how it's supposed to work. Like Lucas has had some great quotes about this over the years about how like the studio execs, they're talentless. They don't know what they're doing. And yes, that's in a lot of cases that's true. But I think the best studio execs understand their strengths, that they're business people. They know how to make money from this, but they also know that, hey, you're the artist, you know how to make the product. Right. Mm-hmm. And so this is a time when, man, you had two completely extremes. You had the purpose of the studio was so blatant of not only did we want to make money, we want to sell a specific product.
Yeah.
So make these toy commercials. I mean, literally, you hear that all the time too. This is just this episode of The Mandalorian, this episode of Ahsoka, this episode of whatever. It's just a toy commercial.
Yeah.
No, these were toy commercials.
Yeah.
And Genndy Tartakovsky was like, okay, let me take that.
Yeah.
And he made art. I mean, it just, limitation breeds creativity.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things to say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a perfect example.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting, and I don't know, because like from what I saw, it was like Cartoon Network put Genndy on it.
Yeah.
But I want to know if like George had anything to do with that, because like, what inspired George to write Star Wars? Old like samurai movies.
Yeah, and serials and stuff. Yes.
Yeah. What samurai movies aren't getting made, in the early 2000s. But anime is getting made. Genndy's kind of making like American anime, basically.
Like a Western type of anime.
Yeah, Western.
Be careful with that.
Sorry. Western anime. I don't know what else.
I say that because people get, I see these posts all the time, like Avatar's not anime, Samurai Jack's not anime.
Whatever.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But like, so it's really interesting that like, that's like the, the natural evolution. He's intrigued by that.
Yeah.
So and it gets put on that. It's just really interesting. And then also, that goes forward. And it's funny that you brought up Avatar, because Dave Filoni came from Avatar,
yes.
which is also kind of like Western anime. So it's really interesting. That I wonder if that's like connected somehow.
Well, George has always been very practical in the way that he's not a person who's just stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Another quote I love from him, I don't know what interview it's from, but he says how like every movie he made is different. He wants every movie he made to be different. It's not just rehashing the same idea.
Yeah.
Like, man, the prequels, for all the backlash they got, they were different. They were not rehashes of the original trilogy. They were different movies.
Yeah.
There were rhyming moments, sure,
Yeah.
but the plots were extremely unique and different. But he evolved with the technology, with everything. And so sure, animation becoming more prevalent, cartoons becoming more mainstream, or not mainstream isn't the right word, I guess. They weren't just for movies.
Culturally accepted too.
Yeah, and they were on TV. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not take this story and put it into animation?
And honestly, and I guess we don't know how much of involvement he actually had, because my research, it seemed like that, like Genndy's running wild, him and his team and stuff like that. But I think that this proves that Star Wars can work in television, because previously we'd had droids and we did the Ewok show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this wasn't even really TV though. It was, but it wasn't.
Because it was on TV, but it was also airing on the internet too at the exact same time.
Yeah.
They were premiering at the same time on whatever CartoonNetwork.com. Yeah.
It's such a weird beast.
It is.
And I think that it worked at the time. I remember watching this when I was a kid. I remember watching this first volume, however many seasons it was. The first.
Yeah, we watched. I was gonna say we watched volume 1, which would be the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, so I remember watching
the first
those.
20 episodes. That's what we watched.
And I think that it is better today in the sense that I think it's better bingeable. Because imagine you have to wait.
Yeah.
Because I remember I talked to a few people. Some people have DM'd us. Like, gosh, I remember having to fight for the TV, to
be able to watch that.
To be able to watch that 3 minutes, it's like, man, that would be today
excruciating.
It would be excruciating. Nobody would pay attention to it.
No.
And so I think that it is like lightning in a bottle, like a lot of Star Wars, lightning in a bottle.
Yes.
And I think it works very well in its current form. And I'll admit, when I was watching it, is actually a critique that I wrote. As like the sound mixing's not very good, because the end credit theme for Star Wars kind of comes in and then just quickly fades away. But I didn't realize
they're shoving all the episodes
together because they flow that well. And I was like, because I didn't.
You really only notice it between episodes 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah, that like Across the Stars is playing and then it starts to go in and then
Right. Yeah. And I was like, it really confused me at first. And I'm like, man, that's really bad. Why did they edit it like that? But then I thought it was going on for a little long. I'm like, surely 3 minutes is up. And I looked and it was 7 minutes in. And I was like, oh, this is real seamless. The way that they're just pushing these together. And wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And I'll admit, before we like really get into it, a lot of people like to say, that it's super heightened and it's wild. But I think that like it works with it. I think if you just embrace it, that it's like, okay, that like that's what you can do with animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can just like cut, it can get things down to the core.
Yes.
Of things. Yeah.
And
Samuel Jackson can't do these insane things.
Right.
But Mace Windu can do these things. Yeah. So.
I think people get sometimes a little too hung up on canon. And what I mean by that is, yes, we should hold story beats. Like we shouldn't be backtracking on those, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of retconning.
Yeah.
But if we're going from different mediums, there's going to be a change in how things are told, right? And there's going to be a different way you tell a story the same story in a comic book versus animation versus a movie versus a video game.
Yeah.
Because in a video game, you need the player to be able to do these bombastic things and very heightened power. That's why Starkiller is so overpowered. It's not because he's some incredible
demigod
force user.
Yeah.
It's just because that's more fun. And then in the show, you need to see these characters be a little wild. Like that's just how I think that's it all depends on the medium you're working in.
Yeah.
But speaking of Mace Windu.
Yeah. You just want to talk about him right away?
Yeah, let's just get into this, man.
It's true. It is true. We're kind of like talking. I mean, like, the man doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the whole things is like, Genndy really goes with like show, don't tell, visual storytelling.
Yes.
And, let's be honest, if you're just looking at this in a, I don't know, like a time capsule or whatever you want to say, that like, that, this is the coolest Mace Windu's ever looks. because
Yeah.
like he doesn't do much in Attack of the Clones. Yeah, he kills Jango Fett, and then he loses to the Emperor. So this is like the one time you get to see him cut loose. So I mean,
Yeah.
what's not to love when a battle droid like tries to shoot him and he takes all the nuts and bolts out of it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
and then
It's just-
uses those as a weapon.
Yeah.
yeah.
It, really picture, for those at home, if you've never seen this before, this was before the 2008 Clone Wars. And also 2008 Clone Wars, this is 3 years after Revenge of the Sith. This show came out in 2003, 2 years before Revenge of the Sith. This was it.
It's all we had.
It's all we had.
Yeah.
And so, seeing that and
I remember showing this to people that didn't like Star Wars because I was in high school when this came out. So I was the only one with the DVD and I was taking it over to people's houses and I was like, check this out. And most people did not like, even people who didn't like Star Wars were like, those 2 episodes were like, all right, that was pretty cool. They're like, that is like, because there's no talking. It's just him being violent. And then, like,
and just when you think like
it can't get crazier.
and then the nuts and bolt things happen.
Yes.
Because it starts with him just like throwing
droids,
like 10,000 droids out of his way, and then just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this: Mace Windu ran so Ezra could crawl.
It is true.
I mean, he's like doing force foo, and Ezra could barely push a freaking stormtrooper.
I mean, I love. Yeah. What about
Man, the Ezra fans are going to roast me for that one, but I couldn't help myself.
What about Mace Windu walking up to a battle droid and literally his brain just explodes?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's so good. Yeah,
But that's what's funny about that though. That is that a different medium thing? Like I'm sure that's part of it. I
think that he's shatter pointing. Honestly, I think that's what he's doing in those moments. Is like that is a clear.
I guess that's what the nuts and bolt thing.
Yes, exactly. I think that he's finding the weak point in it, whatever it is, and then he's exploiting it.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've always assumed that's
a cool
what
idea.
He's doing. Yeah.
Do you think that's maybe the genesis of that idea?
It might be. I don't know. I'll be honest. I thought of that on this rewatch. I'm like, I bet he's shatter pointing. Yeah, that I've never had that thought before this.
It's a fun idea.
Yeah. So in which it fits the character that he would be doing those things.
Yeah.
How about when you see inside the machine, the big like, I don't know, stomper thing, and then like the lightsaber just comes through and it's cutting its way.
Man, it's such good direction.
Yes.
Everywhere. Like scenes like that. And another scene with great direction, the Kit Fisto.
Yes.
Him underwater.
Yes.
Man.
Fun.
Sick.
I like that scene where he goes and he does the swan dive into the water and he catches his lightsaber as he's going down.
Yeah,
like
and the thing just looks cool underwater. Like
yes.
the way that's conveyed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still smiling.
Yeah,
a
just
little
grinning.
way through.
I like his big like force bubble he makes and throws it at everybody. That it's just very anime feeling.
Exactly. And it's just, gosh, you get little pockets of like, this shows the Clone Wars so well.
Yes.
Like you just get war.
Well, and that's what I kind of wanted, like, I think what makes this unique is that the prequels are a really unique time in Star Wars when you think about all the movies. Because like during the Galactic Civil War, it's called Star Wars and it's called the Galactic Civil War, but there's not like big battles happening.
Yeah, there's the space battles, but
like,
there's not a lot of ground.
It's little insurgencies happening everywhere. And, and then the sequel trilogy, it's really just kind of mirroring the Galactic Civil War again. This is all out war, and Genndy gets to tell stories that are happening during war. He's not telling these like, he's telling beats of these like of Star Wars stories, but just moments. He's not doing these like big epic long things. These are just a band of brothers kind of style, like little things happening during battles and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's not telling Star Wars stories. He's telling war stories in Star Wars, which is cool.
Super cool.
Which is how everybody should approach Star Wars, in my opinion. Like this is how it should be done.
Well, again, what we were kind of hitting on is just that, like, look at the stuff that inspired George and evolve if you got to. George is inspired by Samurai. Now George is inspired by Samurai Jack. That is like, what I mean? Like, grow with the times.
That is a fun evolution, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't that wild? It's like, grow with the times. Yeah. That like, you can't just look at Star Wars for inspiration for more Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is also incredible to me about this show is that not only were we getting this awesome, these pockets of the Clone Wars and which are done so well. I mean, the clones, dude, are like,
don't get me started.
Dude, they're not personalized. Yeah. Captain Fordo.
Yes.
The original Captain Rex.
Yes. Literally. Well, I mean, when you watch this, does he remind you of Jango Fett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think was the point. Right?
Yes, that is totally it. That it's like, and I know Rex reminds you of Jango Fett too a little bit, but Rex has way more of a soul than this guy. I feel like this guy's just a killer.
That's what's fun about these clones is like they're not the personalized clones.
Mm-mm.
They don't have a personality. They're just killing machines.
They don't talk. They just make hand gestures.
And to be honest, I don't know which version I like better. I'm leaning toward 2008 Clone Wars. I think that works better for the Order 66 moment.
Yes,
because really, in a way, these guys feel like droids.
Yeah,
in a certain way.
Yeah,
but they also just feel like a really smart tactical unit. And that's really, I don't know. I like both versions really, really well.
These guys, in which I remember this in the next season more, these guys feel like a gunship full of them are just as good as a Jedi.
Yeah.
While though in the 2008, I don't think that's always true. I think if certain clones feel like that,
that's a good point.
Like a gunship full of ARC troopers are just as valuable as a Jedi, basically on the battlefield. Yeah, at least this show kind of conveys that they can get stuff done. That and who knew? There's entire 2 episodes that are just dedicated to them.
Yeah,
doing stuff. There's hardly any talking in it.
I know, and they're just a good military unit that's just getting stuff done.
Yeah. I mean, it's that rule of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you heard this idea? I don't know where I read this, but somebody at Lucasfilm basically pitched the idea that this show was like, this is years after 2008 Clone Wars. So the 2003 Clone Wars is kind of like Republic propaganda. So like this is... So like the way that these episodes look at how they're done, how they're so fast paced and they're so bombastic and they've got this, they almost have like a propagandistic vibe to them,
Yeah.
So the scenes you see of like the clones
doing their thing,
like you can almost see that being an in-universe, like
a rally thing.
Yeah. Like a recruiting ad almost, not a recruiting ad because they're clones, they're not recruiting any soldiers, but I don't know. Or something they play on Camino in the hallways, like, hey, when you get out there, this is who you're going to be. Look at Captain Fordo. He's like a fake.
Get the job done. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I kind of like that idea because they're so different, but it's hard. So it's hard for me to choose, but I have to, and I mean, only one of them's canon. So, but also in a way, I don't know. There's nothing in this that is really not canon.
Yeah. I think honestly, you could say this happened all before Dave's, at least these 2 seasons that we watched. I think it gets harder with the next volume that we watch, but I think that at least these 2 can kind of bump her up right up to basically that. Oh, then we meet Ahsoka.
Yeah,
basically
that's a fun idea.
Yeah,
So I like the clones are so cool, and I also like that it sets up stuff from Revenge of the Sith.
Yes,
like the big man, the scary guy in this.
Yeah,
which I love how he set up General Grievous.
Oh yes.
He's way different in this show.
It is true. And that's this is the involvement right there. That's kind of part of the problem is Genndy made him a monster and George wanted him to be more of a mustache twirly villain.
Yeah, like a coward.
Which is
interesting.
It is.
It makes you wonder how many notes Genndy was given because he was clearly given a general character design for this character.
He was.
And I like how they saved the forearm thing for Revenge of the Sith. That's fun.
Yeah.
But like his entrance with Ki-Adi-Mundi and
all that, yes,
all the other Jedi, Shaggy,
yes,
remember Shaggy?
Oh yes, the most powerful Jedi,
the most powerful.
How can I forget?
Yeah. He teleported. He was force projecting there, so he didn't really die.
He didn't die. He's still alive.
Yeah, he's out there somewhere.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there is a Jedi that looks a lot like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Isn't he actually? Is that his real name, or is that just
like
a meme?
Shaggy or something like
Shaggy?
Yes, it's something like that. Which is cool because it's on Cartoon Network. That like I'm all about it. Whatever, it's fine. He's there for like 5 seconds. That like,
and then he runs out. General Grievous just boom,
just stomps on him,
just smashes him.
Yes,
which maybe that's why General Grievous is so weak in Revenge of the Sith because Shaggy's all of his power just destroyed
his innards.
Just destroyed him. That's what happened.
I gotcha. That must be it.
It is.
Yeah. But that whole basically there's a crashed what are they called? What are the
big ball things, right?
No, I'm talking about the aren't they all broken around a crashed Republic Star Destroyer?
Oh, Venator? You mean?
Yeah, isn't that what's crashed into the ground?
Oh, geez, I don't remember now.
I think that's what it is, and they have to retreat back into it. And you can General Grievous, you can just hear him coming.
You just hear the toom,
Yeah.
toom, toom, toom.
And then it stops. And they're just like, where is he? And he's above them. It's like a horror movie. It's amazing.
Oh, that's when Shaggy runs out.
It's
and then
true. And he gets stomped on.
Boom, and then jumps out again.
Yeah.
So good.
It
so
is.
good. And it's a really fun setup to the character.
Mhm.
It's another one of those things. It's like the clones, like this General Grievous or that General Grievous.
It would be
It's
very
like,
tough.
I'm gonna have to wait for my final General Grievous judgment until the next volume, because I know one of the few things I know about the next volume, spoiler alert, is that you see Mace Windu crush him
Yes.
as he's stealing.
What
the chancellor.
about you? Do you know about the other scene too?
Oh, him being trained?
Gets humbled,
Yes.
which is cool because it also shows
yes.
that it shows how powerful Count Dooku still is. That
Yeah.
Grievous can fight 4 or 5 Jedi at a time.
I mean, you see how powerful he is in this.
Yes,
Like
this
Asajj
is-
Ventress's entrance,
Yes.
super cool.
Yes.
I love when the Count Dooku sits down and he's
Yeah.
like, your skills are, what does he say?
He basically says that like she's a great assassin and a great that like she's a great infiltrator, great assassin, but he's not looking for that. He needs a warrior.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't know, she was projecting herself. I'm not 100% sure.
No, she snuck in. Yeah, I took it as like she just took the guy's spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or maybe that she was projecting herself. I'm not 100% sure. It's wild. It's anime.
Yeah. And then she like annihilates that whole gladiatorial ring, and then
Yes.
Count Dooku just comes in and schools her.
It's true.
I love the Palpatine entrance too, where he's because
Comes in on that spider.
I've always thought it was super weird that he was okay with Asajj.
Yes.
And it's evident here as well, because Dooku's like, hey, how about this? Because she's very clear about her motive. She wants to be a Sith. She's like, I am Sith. And Dooku's like,
You're not.
are you though?
Yeah.
And then,
You fear.
yeah,
You're no Sith. Yeah.
exactly. It's
Mhm.
super cool. And then Palpatine comes in and he's like, yeah,
Let's make this happen.
she could be part of our club. Sure.
Yeah,
go kill Anakin.
But that's the whole thing. He's grooming Anakin.
I know.
love it.
And that's what's cool.
I love it.
So how about that scene?
Which
In
scene?
my opinion, the best scene in the first volume.
That's tough. There is a really, really good moment in it. Before we get there,
Okay.
can we just talk about Obi-Wan?
Oh, do we have to?
Please. Hello there.
Oh, here we go.
You love Obi-Wan, I thought. You got your show. Well, this is my show with Obi-Wan.
I'm just messing with you. No, it's cool. I love this too.
Yeah, this is the first time.
Dirge.
Well, this is the first time you see Obi-Wan in armor.
Mhm.
And like that's where that came from, I feel like.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
like, maybe
in
not.
2008
maybe-
Clone Wars, it comes from more of a practical.
Yeah, I
thing,
get
but-
you, but I mean, still, like that imagery of a Jedi in clone trooper armor,
Yes.
a Jedi on a speeder bike, a Jedi doing a Akira slide, a Jedi fighting basically the Akira monster. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like, yes. And Dirge. Oh,
The Genndy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that Dave didn't bring him back.
You know why?
Why?
This is so fun.
Sure,
He
tell me.
was-
Hit
so-
me with it.
So
This makes me so mad.
I know,
I
you're
don't
gonna-
even know what it's going to be.
You're gonna love this.
No, I bet I'm going to love it.
So when Dave was doing the 2008 Clone Wars, he obviously pulled in a lot.
Yeah, because
A
he brought in.
lot.
Yes, because look at their character designs.
Yeah.
Look at his.
Asajj,
Yes.
you
Even
have.
look at how Dooku looks.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's very
Yeah.
similar. A lot of the
Yes.
actors are the same.
Yes.
They were going to bring in Dirge,
Yeah.
but they pushed him aside in favor of another secondary villain,
Yeah.
Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Which I know you already don't like Cad Bane.
I mean, he's just a guy in a cowboy hat. It's probably Dave Filoni.
Man, if you guys thought Seth could get any more wrong. Cad Bane is the man. What do you mean?
Not compared to Dirge. Who's cooler?
Brother.
Who's cooler?
Cad Bane. I mean, I like Dirge, but come on.
No, not come on.
Cad Bane is way cooler than Dirge. I like Dirge, but come on.
You're hurting me right now. Really?
Yes.
You think Cad Bane is cooler than Dirge?
Yes.
Nah.
He's so much cooler.
Friend.
He's awesome.
Friend. There hasn't been a hot toy of Dirge. Like,
That's because he's not cool enough
I
to
guess
get
not.
one.
I guess not. Anyway, Dirge is this guy in like armor, right? And then it turns out under the armor, because the clone just gun him down at one point, and he's basically the Akira monster. He's this giant fleshy creature
Yeah.
that can regenerate.
Yeah,
And-
that's a pretty cool scene.
It's awesome. Obi-Wan comes off his speeder bike and then just stabs Dirge, and it's just quiet. It's all samurai. Obi-Wan just looks up at him, and Dirge just punches him in the face, and then just.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the whole thing: Cad Bane has all of Dirge's weapons. He can fly. He has a flamethrower.
Yeah.
He has 2 pistols. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I just don't think that. Yeah, I think
that Dirge at the end of the day is not really a character. He's a force of nature.
Yeah.
Cad
you need
Bane's
that on a team.
You do, but
Yeah.
Cad Bane is a character. And I like Cad Bane's character.
Okay.
And I think he's cool. But I
Okay.
do like Dirge.
Yeah.
I am glad that they brought that species back in the Jedi Survivor.
Yes. And Dirge is back in canon.
Yeah, I
too.
know,
He's
in
in
the
the
comics.
comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do much, but he's there. Yeah.
No, he have you seen the character from Jedi Survivor?
I have
The same
not.
species. He's a
Do you
Genndy. His name's Ravis.
Do you fight him?
Yeah.
Really? Does
Yeah.
he regenerate like that?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's their shtick, so that's why I was curious. Okay.
There's a spoiler alert for Jedi Survivor. There's like he's the leader of like a bandit ring, basically, that he frees the High Republic Jedi that's like been frozen for 400 years or however
Yeah.
long it is. And because he owed him his life, because they're like they can live super long. So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
owed him
yeah.
his life at the
Yeah,
time, so he finds him and frees him.
Yeah.
And so you come at odds with him, but he has a life debt to this Jedi. And so he's not, I mean, he's a bad guy, but he's also like,
Not a good
he's
guy.
just he's a man of honor more than anything. That
Okay.
Ravis is his name. And Cal gets like, he tries to let him go. And Ravis is like, no, you're gonna have to kill me. But he keeps regenerating, and he tells him how to kill him. He's like, the only way to kill. I forget how he knows. I don't know if Ravis tells him. It's been a bit since I played the game. Like, you have to sever a Gendy's neural connections, and that's Cal does it. He kills him.
You know, in old canon, Anakin killed him.
Dirge?
Yeah.
Does he not die in that scene?
No, you saw the liquid start to go. He doesn't die. He goes on.
Oh, I guess I
Yeah,
missed that.
he's not. He's in comics and stuff like that. And Anakin's the one that finally does him in. He basically tricks him into an escape pod. He shoves him into it, and then it jettisons it, and then uses the Force and throws him into a star.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sick.
like, it's cold, man. Like
Sick. No, it's a fun idea.
Yeah.
It was fresh for Star Wars too at the time.
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it when Obi-Wan is like inside of him, just boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, and then he's just after it explodes,
Yeah.
he's like all wet and he's just breathing.
Well, I like that one moment where right after he swallows Obi-Wan up, and then Fordo shoots him, and then that sound of him smacking all those clones and coming up to him, where it's just and then it explodes. It's just, oh man, I know this. People are gonna go home and watch this on Disney Plus, and they're gonna be like, "This is like a fever dream," and it is like a fever
Yeah.
dream. It is like, it's a lot, but I think it's great Star Wars.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also like really intense.
Yeah.
Like the
We-
the clones, for example, like
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if a lot of that happens in 2008 Clone Wars. I feel like 2008 Clone Wars uses moments like that very sparingly.
Mhm.
You could argue to its detriment or to
You know, playing it close to the chest. There's nothing wrong with that.
no, yeah,
Yeah,
like the
'cause the-
Fives moment.
Yeah, it makes those moments more impactful
Yes,
when
it
they
does.
do happen.
It
Yeah.
does. But this, I mean, it is so brutal. And
Yeah.
talk brutality, swinging back, circling back around.
Yeah.
Saj Ventress
Yes.
versus Anakin Skywalker.
I know. My other moment is basically to bring everybody up to speed. Asajj Ventress is sent to go kill Anakin Skywalker. Okay, she destroys his whole like clone battalion,
Mhm.
and then she's all like, with your defeat, I will rise to the Sith. And then Anakin's like, oh no.
Yeah, and he's baited into it. And
Ah,
Obi-Wan
no.
keeps telling him like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you can't go after it." And they
Yeah.
he chases her through the city for a moment, and
Yep.
Obi-Wan. It's a fun scene.
Yeah, and
And,
he basically chases her to Yavin 4.
Yes,
So yeah, to the temples.
yes,
Well, we've been there. It's so fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she annihilates
All of his clones.
and R4.
Yes.
R.I.P. R4.
I know. And his
Sad.
ship.
And his
It's
ship.
cool. I guess his is kitted out different than a normal starfighter, so
Yeah.
it can go faster. Yeah,
Mhm.
which is pretty fun. Which makes sense. That's an Anakin thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I also just a little quick. Did you notice when he's piloting, he's like, "I have you now."
Of course. Yeah.
Super fun.
Well, the whole thing is like So there's not a lot of talking in this show, but
No.
when people do talk, it's very important.
Yes.
So it's cool that like they put that in there.
Yeah.
Because that is an important thing.
It's
You
an
see
important
that-
Vader line.
Well, you just see the through line to Vader all throughout this thing.
Yes.
It's very, very cool.
Yes. And again, picture, so for this Asajj versus Anakin thing, so we're kind of going all over the place.
Yeah.
For this Asajj versus Anakin thing, again, picture yourself, you have only seen the original trilogy, episode 1, episode 2, and now you're watching this, and you're getting more of those breadcrumbs for Vader.
Yeah.
I have you now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in that like
Yeah.
Hayden-esque voice.
Yeah, it's
that
the whiny voice.
actor.
I have you now.
Yeah.
yeah.
But he's a great pilot.
Yeah.
You know, he's brash, you know, but he's also a really good warrior. But then
And
he
he
gets to
wants
Yavin
to-
4.
He wants to prove himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gets to Yavin 4. And Asajj just annihilates his clone trooper battalion. And Anakin, what does he say? I wrote it down.
I don't.
I will make you pay for what you've done when it's with his hood up.
Mm-hmm.
And he chases Asajj. And yeah, she has that, or no, Asajj comes out of the fire.
Yeah.
And then
does.
she says, you will be my ascension to the
Yeah,
Sith.
your fall will be my ascension to the
Yes.
Sith. Yeah.
And then they fight and it starts raining. It. By the way, what a dynamic lightsaber duel. Like in the jungle.
yes.
They're like swinging from vines.
Exactly. And I love that part where she's hiding behind the tree and goes like that and makes him fall.
Like,
Like,
yeah,
it's
she's
just-
hiding behind the tree, snaps, and
Yeah.
it breaks the branch that Anakin's
Mhm.
on. He falls down.
Yeah.
But it's just, man, it feels like they are samurai, but they're also Jedi. So they're jumping around. They're
Yeah.
using the Force. Like I say this all the time. I am a sucker for using the environment in a duel.
Yes.
And hey,
They do it here.
They do it here,
Yeah.
and they use the medium to their advantage. You know, animation, you can go a lot more crazy.
Yeah.
And then it starts raining. And
Be still my heart.
yes.
Yeah, because the rain just starts trickling on lightsabers.
Yes. Because there's like 3 phases to this duel. There's the first part, which is just the
Jungle fighting.
jungle fight.
Yeah.
It's loud, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're pulling out all the stops. We're dialing it up to 11.
yeah.
But then we're about to get a little serious with the rain
Yeah.
and just the starts trickling.
Then it's just constant
Sizzling on the lightsabers.
Yeah, and it's just
And
steaming.
Anakin just
yeah.
holds his
And
up.
she's just sitting there. Like
Yes.
this, just cold, just waiting for him. Yeah.
And then they start fighting and
Yeah.
they move their way through the temple. And I love there's a moment where Asajj hits him with the Force and he just braces it. And you
Yeah.
just see like the wind just kind of hit him.
And all of his his outer tunic comes off.
Yes, it's
yeah.
slowly ripping.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I wish we would have saw that in the movies at some point because that's sick.
Yeah.
I love battle damage costumes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's like losing his outer tunic. So he's
Yeah.
just got his inner tunic and he looks more like a samurai.
I don't know if you noticed this too. You remember when he goes into the temple and you hear like the water dripping in there? It
Mhm.
sounds an awful lot like Vader breathing because it goes.
Really? I didn't notice that. I'll have to go
just
back and
as
listen
yeah,
to it.
just as the dripping. I've always thought that. I don't know. I even remember thinking that when I was in high school watching it for the first time. Is I'm like, it sounds a lot like it. Is
I'm gonna have
as
to go
the
back
water,
and listen
yeah,
to that.
as the
Yeah.
water's dripping inside, and then he walks in, and he's covered in blue light. She's covered in red light. And
Yes,
Then they
it's
work
so-
their way out into the into the top
into
of
the
the
red
temple.
moon. And that's when you
Yes.
get phase 3, which is
Yes.
the coolest part because she knocks the lightsaber out of his hand. She comes down with both of her lightsabers. And I love a good payoff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you got to ask like a question when you see something new in something that's familiar. So why does this character have 2 lightsabers? We're so familiar with her now, Asajj Ventress. Why does she have 2 lightsabers? Well, in this is where this was introduced. Why does Asajj Ventress have 2 lightsabers? Why doesn't she just have one like all the other Jedi that you see? She's the only character in the show. And up until this point, she's the only character in canon. And this isn't canon anymore, but at the time it was.
Yeah.
This is the only character who had 2 lightsabers.
that mainly use 2 lightsabers. Yeah.
Why does she only have 2? It's for this moment when she brings down her lightsabers.
Yeah.
Anakin catches her hands, crushes her wrist.
With his robot hand.
Yes.
Because I love a good moment with a robot hand.
Yes.
Yeah, because why have one? Yeah,
Exactly.
for moments like that.
Crushes it. She drops the lightsaber. He levitates it up and grabs a red blade.
Duel of the Fates playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Duel of the Fates hits just boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Flashes of Qui-Gon, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and just kills her effectively.
Yeah.
That's what you're led to believe right now.
Yeah. Knocks her into the void.
knocks her into the void and just screams.
Yeah.
Oh,
Primal. Yeah.
so cool.
I agree.
I love that.
Yes.
Because again, this scene does so much, and I'm just picturing this as a fan at the time. And I think that this is all you need. I really do. I am such a fan of simplicity, and the older I get, the more I am a fan of simplicity. And over the years, I've heard a lot of people say, like, can we be done with the Skywalkers? Let's get out of the Skywalker saga. And I've always thought, like, hey, this is their story. Why do we need to get away from them? But now I think I'm appreciating those people's argument a little bit. It's not because they didn't like the Skywalkers. It's because they have a good story. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm not there yet. I'm not on that camp, but in a way I do sort of get it.
Well, you got to look at too that some of the people arguing it had this story, then the story gets destroyed.
Yeah,
then for a new story. Yeah, it's just kind of like, what are we going to do? Just keep retelling more of this. Yeah, more of these guys' story. Yeah.
I don't know. Like don't get me wrong. I love the 2008 Clone Wars show.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah, no,
moments
are S tier.
Moments are S tier.
Yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't trade it. But there is a part of me that's like, in this alternate world where it did end in 2005.
Yeah.
I kind of like this little side story that we get of the Clone Wars. I kind of like this little 2 hours. That's it. Just it's another movie.
Yeah.
And this is the moment we get of Anakin furthering his descent into the dark side.
Yeah.
Because it's done so precisely. Again, that idea of the setup and payoff of the 2 lightsabers. That's something that now Grievous has 4 lightsabers, and it doesn't matter, right? Like you see this stuff all the time and you don't pay much attention to it. But that was a deliberate decision that was made for a specific moment. That is so handcrafted.
Mm-hmm.
Not taking anything away from 2008 Clone Wars.
Yeah.
In that way. It's just, I love the precision of it. And it kind of brings me to my last point on this show.
Okay.
Which is, so the French mathematician and philosopher Blaise Pascal,
okay,
is often credited with one of my favorite quotes. I would write you a shorter letter if I had more time. This is that shorter letter if you had more time. And the spirit of that sentiment is that we're just talking about 180 seconds, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Could we really work it down to that? I've made films before. I've been a part of challenges that are 60-second film challenges. They are so hard. It's not hard because you have to fill up 60 seconds. It's hard because you have to get down to 60 seconds.
Tell your story in 60 seconds.
That is what's hard, because the amount of creativity, the amount of precision and direction that you need to tell a story in 60 seconds that is coherent, concise, and means something takes an inordinate amount of skill. Everybody knows this famous short story. It's the saddest short story in 6 words. For sale, baby shoes never worn. 6 words. 6 words. And tells a whole story. It's a sad story. And that's a very famous writing thing. But that's the kind of thing. Like, you don't just come up with that. That's not something that comes easily, and I think that this show does, in 1 hour, this volume 1, right? We're shown the scale and brutality of the Clone Wars. We're shown the fighting prowess of the peacekeepers turned soldiers that are the Jedi. On each of these little pockets, the Battle of Dantooine with Mace Windu, the body on Mon Calamari with Kit Fisto.
Yeah. We even get to see it with Luminara and Barra Sophie on Ilum.
Yeah, exactly.
And Yoda even.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get little pockets. And again, this is after Attack of the Clones, so we had seen Yoda fight, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we get the tactical effectiveness of the clones. We were just talking about that, right? And most importantly,
what about introduction to villains? We got 3 villains introduced in the show.
Yeah. We got
Asajj Ventress,
Dirge,
and General Grievous.
Grievous.
Along with Sidious and Dooku still seeming cool and above all them.
Yeah, still pulling the strings.
It's true.
Still continuing that thread of the overarching story.
Yeah.
And then most importantly, we get that very strong beat of Anakin's descent. We don't need 10 of them like we got in 2008 Clone Wars. I love all those moments. We don't need 10. We don't need 10 to hammer it home.
Anakin killed someone in cold blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, wild. I know he doesn't actually kill her there, but yes.
But as far as he knows, he did.
Yes. Yeah.
And that descent is so good. And this show does so much with so little. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like I'm kind of wrestling with my feelings on it, to be honest with you, because I love the 2008 show so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like to love this show puts me in conflict with that.
Really?
Well, because they're the same.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It occupies the. It feels like I have a spot on my shelf, and I can only put one there.
Yeah, and it's like, it's tough because this was my Star Wars. This I still have it. I have on my shelf. It is Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, the 2 volumes of this, Revenge of the Sith, and then they just keep going.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's weird to think about now that it's like, well, I guess that doesn't really count anymore.
I know. Isn't that odd?
It's rough.
It's one of the,
because I like it so much.
It's one of the few things in Star Wars that is this way. We rarely get, in fact, it may be one of the only things other than maybe a comic.
Well, like the legends, that stuff doesn't count.
Well,
yeah.
I suppose so. Yes.
Yeah.
But this was like a show.
Yeah.
Books. I mean, that's happened quite a bit, but I don't
and
know. There's
the fact that this bumper, you don't know it yet. This bumpers up so well with Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, and I do know that. I think that might be the only episode I've seen from Volume 2 is the last one where they rescue the Chancellor, or where they kidnap the Chancellor, rather.
Yeah.
But you can see all around here. I got Ahsoka, I've got Captain Rex, and I love that show.
Yeah.
But part of me, I remember when Volume 1 came out, and I do remember. I had a lot of the toys, so it did work on me.
Yeah.
The whole idea of the show.
You were that age.
Yeah. I was. I don't know how old I was. Tweenager, maybe something like that, middle school.
Yeah.
And I remember when this came out, and I remember buying some of the toys and being really just thinking it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I don't know. It's a weird thing for me to think about, because without this show, if this show replaces 2008 Clone Wars, we don't get Ahsoka.
It's true.
Right. But then you're asking a really interesting question, is Ahsoka essential for the story of Star Wars? Which is an interesting question, because something I do like about this show, and it's really illustrated well in that scene with Anakin and the fighting Asajj Ventress. He's just a warrior that fell in this show. And that's really what the 6 movies were. Now we have questions of, is he this Mortis god now? Is he this spirit that's been deified? And is Ahsoka the embodiment of the light side of the Force? And don't get me wrong, that stuff's fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. But we kind of talked about this when we watched the Mortis arc. It's almost a yearning for the simpler story, And I feel like this Clone Wars, it just was war stories told in space.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's
Star Wars.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the spirit of Star Wars. And man, that is such a question, right? What makes Star Wars Star Wars? It is the question about all this stuff.
People are still trying to figure out what exactly makes it tick.
And really only one guy really ever understood it completely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes I go back and forth, you know, I think about it and I'm like, man, I don't know. There are things that I love all the new stuff that's come. Well, not all the new stuff.
You enjoy it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just
you enjoy new Star Wars.
Yeah. What I meant was the lore, that's coming out, that's really expanding on the mythos and stuff. I dig that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's interesting just watching the show and being like, this was originally just about a guy, a warrior, who just flew too close to the sun. Literally in this episode, he is too close to the moon.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful in that way, in its simplicity. So,
and I think what's cool is that's only 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah.
That you get to it really does like gives you these 2 and 3 episode pockets focusing on these different Jedi and these different fights during the Clone Wars.
Mhm.
It shows that like, you know, I have it written here. The first line in the show, like fire across the galaxy, the Clone Wars spread. Yoda says that. But it's just like, it's cool that like everyone's affected by it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can think about that as like it bookends nicely after Attack of the Clones. Because what does
Yes.
Yoda say at the very end of Attack of the Clones?
Begun the Clone War.
Begun the Clone War has. And then you start this like fire
Yeah.
across the galaxy.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I'm left thinking like this is really, really cool. I love it. I mean, the art style is awesome.
Yeah.
The animation is awesome. I love the storytelling. I like that precision is one of the best. Precision and simplicity is probably the 2 words I would use.
Mhm.
But it does put me in conflict, and that's what's interesting about it.
There is no conflict.
Yeah. Well, I like when
Yeah.
when media does that. Though.
Yeah.
I like it when it kind of challenges me to think about things.
Yeah.
And I know at the end of the day, this is just silly space stuff,
Yeah.
but it's fun. I care about it,
Yeah.
and it. I like that it challenges me to think about in that way. You
Yeah.
know, about these concepts of like what's better to be simpler or to be. And to go more in depth. Is there a time for both? Is there a time for one? Is there a time for the other?
Yeah.
And I think, this show has strengths in some ways, and the other Clone Wars show has strengths in other ways.
Yeah. Do you think it works better than you like watching it all at once?
Yes.
Okay, rather than like watching it week to week, you wouldn't like it. I know that it's only 3 minutes, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, it is a lot. It is. I would be curious to know like, would you like watch in 20-minute chunks rather than just watching it straight through? Even though I feel like it moves pretty fast. It's only an hour.
It does. I do.
Yeah. It's like an hour and some change. It's like an hour and 9 minutes. Or
I
something.
think that it could be cultivated a little better, probably in 20-minute pockets.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of action going on.
I feel like there was a moment where I was like, even though it does move, I was like, man, is this about over?
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't enjoying it. I was just like, it's just a lot.
Yeah. I do feel like it slows down when they're on the Ilum with Padme and Yoda and is it Luminara and then Vera Sophie? Yeah.
And it's funny how that.
Hopefully I called her Luminara and not Lumaya.
It's Luminara. Yeah.
I know.
You said that.
Oh, I said that earlier? Okay.
I think so.
Lumaya is the dark woman that turns Chase and Solo into Darth Caedus.
Okay.
And sometimes I accidentally say that because those names are similar. Anyway.
No, that arc felt the most like 2008 Clone Wars.
It did. Yeah. And for some reason it feels longer than the other ones.
Yeah.
The other ones are just flying by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is weird. I don't know why that is.
It's so fun. In some ways, this whole show feels like the rough draft for 2008, but that's not fair to say to call it a rough draft.
No,
it's weird. It's weird.
And I was going to say, I think it totally is. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I mean, look at character designs.
Yeah.
Look at how they're dressed. Look at like the characters they use. Like, I mean, it's
cool.
It is.
It's a cool show.
It's very, very cool.
I'm looking forward to next week, seeing
Yes.
how it all wraps up. It's been fun to revisit it. And, there's just such a wide array of Star Wars out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what we're learning with Friday?
Yeah.
That, we're doing, we're going to dive into a Legends book.
Yeah.
That
Tales
even-
from the archives.
Yeah. Even though these things aren't canon anymore, doesn't mean that we can't enjoy them.
Yeah.
This is like, when I was watching this, I texted you and I'm like, I feel like I'm back in high school again. This is awesome. Like I'm getting all the, like those moments where like showing that to people and be like, you guys got to check this out.
Yeah.
That this is, I was excited that you hadn't really seen all this before. So it's cool to see. I'm happy that you appreciate it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah.
to kind of experience a lot of these stories because I myself get a little too hung up on canon sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've over time grown to appreciate what Sam Witwer has said. It's not his quote, but I think he said it was what maybe Dave Filoni has said. I've heard it from Sam Witwer, is why I brought him up. That these are all tall tales.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're told in a little bit different ways.
Yeah.
And it's okay, to twist the truth a little bit sometimes and to enjoy, the like this, or like I really like The Force Unleashed. That's probably my big Legends story that has always been like, that's my Legends. And it's not canon anymore, but I can still enjoy it.
Still like it.
There's still artistry there. There's still passion and love and
Yeah.
storytelling and still a connective tissue to Star Wars.
Mhm.
And this week, or technically today, if you're watching this when it drops, on Friday, December 1st, we're reading through the first 3 chapters of Plagueis with the boys.
Yeah.
DiamondFigs, Star Wars Sith 66, and MortisFM.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
it is.
just a shameless plug there.
Mhm.
If you're watching this after the fact, go back and check out that stream. It should be up on any of our pages.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking forward to that experiencing those stories and wondering how I'm going to kind of take that into my own. I don't like the word headcanon, but like how I'm going to kind of
process that.
put it in there.
Yeah.
You know?
The last thing I want to say about Clone Wars is I think that this might be it's one of, if not my favorite iterations of Obi-Wan in this show, because I like that he gets to cut loose a little bit, that he's not all just like snarky, which there still is that snark, but he's not all like, being the dad or the older brother yet. I think too often in 2008, he's kind of forced into that role. In this, he wrecks a speeder bike for no apparent reason, so he can do a superhero landing. Like, I mean, he goes one-on-one against Dirge, gets himself swallowed up and blows up he blows up a monster. Like, I mean, I think it's cool to see Obi-Wan act like Anakin a little bit. You get to see him be a little reckless because he has to, because it's war, rather than like, the traditional Obi-Wan, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
That's
so
fun. I really do appreciate this show for that. And it's the first time we get to hear James Arnold Taylor.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
So it's kind of cool that
first of several of the voice actors.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It is cool. I don't really have a whole lot else to say.
I'm excited for you to watch next week's, because
me too. I'm really excited.
So they traded up the whole. It's not 3 minutes episodes. I think they're 12-minute episodes.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it's like 5 12-minute episodes or something like that. Yeah.
See, I remember my memory of that, because I remember the image of long hair Anakin.
Yep.
In that art style.
He's right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also remember, because I would have had to have seen a few of these things, because I remember the episode with the tattoos.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
So I must have seen bits of it. I just don't remember.
And I remember that, like, when it was all said and done, they would play it all back to back, where you could just watch. They would just show it on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Where they weren't showing it just like little pockets or whatever. You could watch all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. And seems like the viewers were looking forward to this too, because man, we got a lot of fan questions this week.
Hit us with it.
Let's just go right into those. So Riley _and_Andrew_ versus, man, acting like my underscores here. Hey, I'm not an underscore hater. I'm with you. How about the parallels between this show and what Filoni did with Clone Wars, Space and Silence? Yeah. So we've been kind of talking about like a lot of the cool parallels. I mean, like I said, in some ways it feels like a rough draft, but I don't like using that word because it makes this seem unfinished. But it's
predecessor.
Not.
Yeah. An ancestor.
It almost feels like an Elseworlds thing. Like somehow we like merged dimensions and got this show and the other show at the same time.
Well, it's just
really
time.
I mean, I know it's just so odd that we got both shows.
It's really sad watching the behind the scenes, because did you watch any of that in prep for this? You can find all the behind the scenes stuff, and I just feel bad for those guys, because they're talking about it and they're like, dude, we got to make Star Wars. We got to make something that is part of the story.
Yeah. Well, they still did. I mean, it's still part of the legacy.
But now it's not. You know what I mean, it's like, because they even talk about
this,
that.
2008 doesn't exist.
It's true.
And so they are still as much a part.
Yeah, it's true, but it's just sad when they're all like, yeah, you're supposed to, like, we literally made another movie that you could watch between the other movies. And it's like, yeah, you did, but
and you can still, but I know that's what we're talking about. We're not taking it away.
Yeah, and it does suck too that I wish this was more prominent on Disney Plus, because it's hard to find it. You have to find it. Yes, it is down at the bottom, and I'm like,
you have to go to the vintage.
Yes, it is not. It doesn't belong there.
Yeah,
it is disappointing. Anyway,
MortisFM, one of the boys.
The boys.
Dirge is awesome. That is all.
He is pretty cool.
He's cool.
But apparently he's not as cool as Cowboy Hat Cad Bane. He's got rock. He's Dave Filoni and Star-Lord mixed together. That's all he is. He's got rocket boots.
The only similarity is the cowboy hat.
And the cowboy hat. All he needs to do is be a werewolf.
Yeah, I guess. Jeez. He is cool. I do like Dirge. I know I was clowning on him a little bit earlier, but he's fun. I do like him a lot.
Okay.
Rippick_Tan says, if you could pick one scene from the 2D to witness in live action, his is Anakin versus Ventress. I mean, I know what yours is going to be. I'm probably with you, Rippick. That's probably, I know we've gotten Anakin versus Ventress in the 2008 Clone Wars, but I would love to see that scene with Hayden and whoever you're going to cast as Ventress on Yavin 4. It's never going to happen, but it'd be sick.
I mean, let's be honest. I would love that scene in the rain. I would like to see that in live action.
Yeah.
Also, another scene that I liked a lot that we didn't even get a chance to talk about is that opening scene where they're taking off to go fight at the banking clan. Yeah, and Anakin puts his hand up on the glass, and Padme puts her hand up the glass, and Across the Stars is playing.
It's great.
And then he just takes off.
And it's mix of 2D and 3D animation.
Yes,
it was really cool.
And then R2 and 3PO are there. Like, it's just like, it feels like the ending of a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's so good. Yeah, it's just like no talking.
Yeah,
nothing. The man's a genius.
He is.
Like, guys, if you don't know who this guy, Samurai Jack, Primal, he has something to do with Hotel Transylvania. I'm not sure what. When you put
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what he did. He has some sort of connection to that, but like Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, like he's connected to like all kinds of crazy, awesome things.
He's good.
Yes,
he is the man.
So good. Have you ever watched Primal?
I haven't,
dude.
When I was doing research for this show, I came across quite a few clips of it.
Check out Primal.
Mhm.
Check out Primal.
Isn't that relatively new?
Yes, it ended like last year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it feels like this though.
Nice.
Like, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So you wouldn't have picked Dirge versus Obi-Wan for your live action scene?
No, I think that I would probably. I just want to see the rain on the lightsabers, and again, it's just how visceral and how just like how quiet all that is, and just like like that. I love big fight feels. That's a really good big fight feel where it's like, oh, something cool's coming, like because it just slowly builds. Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Patrick. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One other thing. Did you notice the thunder when he puts up his hood and the clones all come out? That like you knew in the episode before that it was gonna rain. So all the clones are going hut, 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 and they all go out, and he's like spread out, and like he looks up and like you can see the clouds and everything. It's like, and the payoffs in the next episode, the rain.
Yeah,
it's just I love
like I
it.
said, the deliberate. It's so deliberate,
so good. Like it's like man, like there's no wasted time. There can't be because it's only 180 seconds. So like you can't. There's no time. Yeah.
Just a very well crafted meal.
Yes,
is what he put together. Someone cooked here. That's how we felt.
Yes, someone did cook here. Someone made some good chicken tenders.
I guess.
Made a good sandwich.
Good. Oh, there. I was wondering. It's coming. Yeah.
It's a good sandwich.
It's been a while.
That's been. You wouldn't eat this sandwich?
I would. We've been eating it, I think. So.
Eating well.
Patrick Flynn 76 says, why didn't this continue? This had a lot of cool moments. It could have been epic. I think there can be too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think we were just talking about how the shorter letter, I think we just sometimes have to appreciate something for what it is and let it end.
Yeah. And the fact that like they only had 3 years. They did 10 episodes, 12 episodes, or 5 episodes, something like that. And that was it. They told their story.
And,
and these did continue on kind of in the comics.
Yes.
Yeah. That like they did their own version, like, and then they did like in this animation or style. And then they also did comics that are, where it's a little more like adult. Because Anakin fights Asajj Ventress again and kills her in that. Mm-hmm. That's where she like dies. Or yes, that's where she like dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets a scar from her. Fun fact.
I did know that.
Yes.
I do remember that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing I'll say on that, I think there is an art to letting something end.
Oh yeah.
And letting it just be done. Like
Supernatural.
Every time. So
if your show goes more than 5 seasons, it better be something special.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can
That's something I've always loved about Breaking Bad is like they knew when to end it. They were begged to continue.
Yeah.
Vince Gilligan was like, no, my story's done.
It's true. And supposedly The Boys is the same way. They've like, we are ending at season 5.
Great.
And that is it. Yes, I know. I know. You shouldn't stretch things out.
And if you want to do like Breaking Bad again, if you want if they back to the studio execs and money thing, they wanted Vince to continue. And he's like, okay, I got another story in me then. He didn't continue the same one. He did another story. And
Different
it's
perspective.
awesome. Better Call Saul is fantastic.
Mhm.
It's 6 seasons though, but it's so good.
Is that your chef's kiss?
That is my dude.
I know.
I love
I'm
Star
bad.
Wars, but
I know that you've always told me to watch that show, and I'm like,
I'm not
It's
gonna
raw.
lie. It is.
It's really raw. Yeah.
One of these
little-
days, we're gonna have to have
my little heart.
the
can't
Beyond
take
and Beyond the Dune Sea. We'll have to be
it. Beyond.
Breaking Bad.
Go.
Just have a whole episode on Breaking Bad.
Someone did.
Dude,
cook.
I could. Yeah, someone did cook here. That's what we're gonna do. Anyway, I don't remember what else I was gonna say. So I'm moving on. Daniel_Ineko. If you could bring a part of this show to the main canon, what would it be?
I'll take Dirge for 200, please. Here, hold on. Who is Dirge? Final answer.
I mean, I'd probably go Dirge too, because
Yeah.
everything else I like from the show is in canon.
Yeah.
Maybe Fordo, I guess, but Fordo's basically Captain Rex.
Yeah,
so-
and then too, that like what makes Fordo cool is that he has slightly more personality than the other ones.
yeah.
And everybody else in Clone Wars has way more personality than him, so he would just get dwarfed anyway. That like they're all like crazy super soldiers. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the red though.
Yeah, he does look sick.
Yeah.
Gabe_Michael says, should they bring back the original CW cartoon, but as a Vision short?
Dude. What if Genndy got to do a short on Visions and it's like full circle?
Yeah, I know.
That's what I want. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care if he just got to do one of the Vision stories and it's just full circle.
Well, we've been,
Yeah.
I know DiamondFigs has been on this camp, about legend stories. Bring them in as 2D animation. And I am,
Like
that
in
is such a good
Elseworlds?
idea.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, DC does that.
Yeah.
With their
Elseworlds.
DCAU.
Yeah.
And a lot of those movies are really good.
Mhm.
It's not so much 2D animation. Some of them are, but yeah, there's that. Gosh, I'm gonna.
It's all right. You
It's
can
the
describe
guy-
it and I can help you.
No, I know what it is. It's that anime Heir to the Empire trailer, but it's Jar Jar something is Jar Jar Jargon. Yes, he did this anime trailer for Heir to the Empire, which
It is
kind of is
good.
what sparked this conversation
Yeah.
for DiamondFigs stream, and it's very good. And I'm like, yes, bring Genndy in to tell more stories. And I know we have another question about it. JL Customs and Collectibles says, would you like a bridge between episode 6 and 7 in this animation style? Yes. I'm kind of more in that camp than I am in the camp of do a CG like the 2008 Clone
Yeah.
Wars.
There's something like, because I think this is aged like wine.
Yeah.
That like this holds up. There is only one shot that I thought looked weird, and it's the shot where when Ventress is like, finish it. I thought that Dooku's lightsaber looked kind of weird. I don't
Okay.
know why. It just looks weird. It's fuzzy looking. And I'm like,
Okay.
that's weird. The rest of the show's really crisp. Why does his lightsaber look weird right there?
I don't know.
Anyway, but I think it's beautiful looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it is just, it's cool because like, the 3D animation, it just keeps getting better with time. You know what I
Yes.
mean? That like
Well,
this.
At the time, like 2D animation was kind of mainstay. Like if
Yeah.
you were going to flip on Cartoon Network, that's all
That's all
you'd
you
see.
see. Yeah.
And nowadays, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, you still see a lot of 2D animation out there, but I mean, if you're going to see movies and stuff, 3D animation is everywhere.
Yeah.
And now 2D animation is kind of back to being cool again.
Yeah.
That's not the right word, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not as,
Well, it's more, it
That's
costs
prevalent.
a lot more.
yeah,
And
it does.
and it's way more time consuming. And
because
stuff
it's so deliberate.
yes.
And yeah, I would love this. Like follow the big three. Heir to the Empire. Do Heir to the Empire in this style. I don't
Yes.
care. Like that, it'd be sick.
Well, heck, I would love, learning about Rey and Ben Solo more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have
Anything.
Have the misadventures of them.
Like,
yeah.
you know what this actually kind of reminds me of? Like, you know what feels like a spiritual successor to this show? Galaxy of Adventures.
Oh, yeah, it's true. And I was going to
Those
say
are
that,
little 60-second shorts.
yes, they're just showing you cool little moments in the galaxy. They're on Star Wars Kids on YouTube.
Yeah. And
Check
they're
it
like
out. I love
anime.
them.
They're little anime shorts. And they're
Yes.
so good.
Yes.
It's like, man, I want a whole show of that.
Yeah.
Give me that
I
whole
would.
show.
Heck, I would watch a whole show because they just use the music and the voices from the movies.
Yeah.
Just do it.
So BC Scrubs asks if why this still isn't canon.
Well, the last season of Clone Wars really complicates it. Clone Wars 2008 really complicates it. Because up until then, it could have worked.
So I'm reading this from the Wikipedia article. It says a 2022 Comic Book Resources article opines that certain elements of the series which do not conflict with more recent works are, quote, good enough to deserve canon status, such as the duel between Anakin and Ventress, the introduction of Grievous, and the knighting ceremony. The 2022 Clone Wars novel Brotherhood establishes a new origin for Ventress, which CBR interprets as definitively demoting the series to non-canon status, calling the implication a shame. The book's author, Mike Chen, explains that he viewed Ventress and Anakin Skywalker's duel from the Clone Wars as, quote, kind of canon. This is where I heard this, like animated Republic propaganda of Anakin's encounters with Dooku's agents, as referenced in the novel. So that was, but the 2022
happened, but didn't happen.
But then also the 2022 issue of Obi-Wan references Mace Windu's battle on Dantooine. So it's kind of in a weird thing where it's like it's kind of canon, but kind of not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mace could have gone to Dantooine and fought.
Yeah.
We just don't know
exactly
what all. Yeah.
I think it's like the tall tale thing.
Yeah.
It's a tall tale.
Yeah.
Sure. Think of it as canon. It doesn't hurt to think of it as canon. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's canon to me.
It's real to me, darn it. But really, if you got an hour, go check this out. This is worth your time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not
like,
long.
and I'm happy that, like, you know, I'm really happy that you watched it and you were like, I dig on this because I knew going into this that, you know, I'm the one that put it in S tier.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it.
I've seen it before. I knew I liked it.
Yeah, but I mean,
remember,
it's been a while. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
So BC Scrubs also says, would you like them to make a continuation of the series like they're doing with the X-Men 97? We kind of already covered that. Yes, in any form. Bring back Genndy. I mean,
I would love that.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd come back, though. Have you ever heard that about him and The Force Awakens?
No.
That he's supposedly the scene with the Falcon in the Star Destroyer. Supposedly that's very similar to something he animated. Like, very similar.
Really?
And that's what I heard. That was some hearsay, and I heard that he was not happy about that because it's like, where'd that come from? Because that was stuff that was left on the cutting room floor or whatever. Maybe not the Falcon, but the spaceship movements of them moving through a wrecked Star Destroyer are very similar to something that like they were supposedly working on.
Yeah.
And I heard that he was not exactly happy about that.
How does he feel about the 2008 Clone Wars?
I don't have any idea.
How does... Well, because to answer that question, like Dave Filoni's CCO now, that was the big news.
Yeah.
He's the chief creative officer of Lucasfilm. So if Gendy's going to come back, he has to go through Dave.
It's true.
Does he have some bad blood there? I don't know.
I don't know how that works either.
So he's still proud of it? I don't know. I'm not really finding... I mean, I doubt he'd make an interview being like, I hate this garbage.
Exactly. I doubt it.
But I just wonder. I mean, I'm sure he's like... Because, I mean...
Wouldn't you be frustrated?
They built on everything. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd be frustrated about it. They like built on everything.
But I mean, I don't know.
He was the genesis of those ideas. So
it's true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's hard. It's a hard question.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Blore, who wins in a fight, General Grievous from this cartoon or General Grievous from Revenge of the Sith?
Oh. Unfortunately, pour one out for Revenge of the Sith because he doesn't even get to see it coming.
This guy wipes the floor with Revenge of the Sith Grievous. That's for sure.
I think it's the feet grabs that gets me. Is he just grabs people's faces with his feet and smashes them into the ground? It's just
he's quick.
Oh my gosh, he's faster than the Force in some moments. So they try to Force blast him, and he just gets out of the way.
Yeah. Joaquin Oliveri says, he has a few here. Brotherhood by Mike Chen takes some aspects of the show and make it canon. We just talked about that, but it also takes some aspects and makes it not canon.
Yeah.
Like the fight between Mace versus the 100,000 battle droids. Yeah, we just talked about that. Or the Kiadi Mundi encounter versus General Grievous. I didn't know about that one. So that's kind of cool. Then Michael_Kramer98 said, who would you choose to play a young Luke, Han, Leia, and Lando for the Heir to the Empire movie? Okay, out of left field with this question. I like it.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly,
Billy Lord.
I don't know.
She's the easy answer.
She is the easy answer, I guess, because
I don't want
have
Millie
another
Bobby
one.
Brown though either.
Oh, gross.
No, exactly. No, because she wanted to play her too. So no.
If you're gonna not have her, if you're not gonna have Billy Lord, unknown.
Yeah. Okay, I'm fine with that. But then I would get Sebastian Stan because he looks enough like Luke.
I wouldn't.
Fine, whatever.
He's too old now.
Okay, whatever.
I'd have the guy Graham Hamilton, the guy who played in the Book of Boba Fett. Just get him.
Okay. Well, then would you do Alden Ehrenreich as Han?
I mean, might as well keep the continuity.
What about Donald Glover?
Yeah. I mean, he is perfect.
It's true. I agree. I agree. Yes. And he's probably about the age now because, they won't make a show. Yeah. The Calrissian Chronicles. Why is that not a thing? With Billy D introducing it. Me in my younger days. And then it cuts back to Donald Glover. And it's just him. It's easy. It's a slow pitch. It's
because Donald Glover's so busy. We've heard that for years.
Supposedly, I guess.
Yeah.
Or it's that they can't get things figured out at Lucasfilm. Because I feel like that, you offer him enough money, he'd find some time to be Lando.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the last question from Rick Darklighter is Kit Fisto the Aquaman of the Star Wars universe?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite Jedi. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sick. I was looking up, dude, this is so bad for me to watch during Black Friday week because
you're looking up toys and stuff?
Yeah, it's like Kit Fisto. Gotta find the Black Series.
Yeah.
I'm like this close to ordering all the vintage collection Clone Wars figures because they're all on sale right now.
Gotta save some money, man.
I know.
Ask for them for Christmas.
From who? I'm an adult. What am I going to do?
There's got to be someone out there. Who knows? Maybe Santa will leave one under your tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You crack me up. They're on sale. I don't know. They're only like $12 right now, so I might order some.
Well, the cartoon did its job then.
It did. 20 years later.
Still doing it.
I didn't even think about that. Oh my gosh. 20 years later, it still freaking got me. The spirit of capitalism is sunk deep within this show.
Yeah.
You know what? Hats off to you, Genndy Tartakovsky. You really got one over on me. I didn't even think about that. Wow. That's hilarious. Well, I know what I'm doing. That sells it. After this show, I'm ordering those figures. That's hilarious.
Have them set up.
Just to commemorate that, because that is so funny.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's a good place to end this because thank goodness, a little shorter episode because we've been hammering out some big boys.
I did talk to somebody today. They were like, "Man, I just finished all your episodes," and I was like, "Oh, what'd you think? I'm happy you're following them." And he was just like, "They got really long." And I was just like, I know, I'm sorry. And he goes, no, I just break it up. It's fine. I like listening to you. So I'm like, okay, I'm happy that people are sticking with us. Yeah. I know, even though we get long-winded sometimes.
Yeah, I'd like to know from the audience, actually.
Yes.
What do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer the little bit shorter? You prefer the little bit longer?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if the conversation calls for a longer episode, then
it's got to happen.
Then we'll be a little longer. But ideal world, I kind of like the pocket we're in right here.
Yeah.
But, hey, love to know what you guys think. As always, let us know. And then next week, Volume 2.
So the final season
of Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. And then the week after that, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. We're about to figure it out.
There's lots of mysteries out beyond the Dune Sea.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Anybody has any suggestions?
Let us know.
It's not that we don't have any that figured out, because we totally do. We're just, we care about you guys.
We want you to have a say in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Next week, Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars Volume 2. And, of course, don't forget Tales from the Archives, Episode 1. If you're watching this during the premiere of this episode on Friday, December 1st, then it's going to be live at 5 p.m. EST. If you're watching this another time, head back over to one of our channels, either ours, DiamondFigs, Star Wars Sith 66, or MortisFM, and check out the live stream VOD.
We're going to be talking about the first three chapters of Plagueis.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then, hey, tag along with us for the next stream. We're going to be doing those streams about once a month. We're going to be covering probably a little bit more than 3 chapters a stream. But for the first one, we're just kind of dipping our toes and getting everybody into it.
Acquainted.
So just tag along, read with us. If you like this kind of stuff, just old Star Wars can be new Star Wars again. If you've never seen it before, if you've never read it before, let's all kind of just immerse ourselves in these other stories. Because, hey, there's a lot of other stories and there's a lot to talk about beyond just the Dune Sea, after all. See you guys next week.